This is Sports 845 with Darin Kunis and Dick O'Neill.
It is January 24th, 2024. This is Sports 845. I am Darin Kunis, and to my right, the legendary basketball coach, Richard Aloysius O'Neill. To my left, Mike Carey, who does an incredible job covering a sport that we should cover more, and that's wrestling. He has his own website. It's Section 9, Section IX, Wrestling.com. No one knows wrestling more than Mike. And to Mike's left, the head coach. He's been the head coach for 16 years. He's 250 and 100. He wrestled at Middletown, wrestled at Cortland, and won Section 9 this year, and is the head coach currently of the number 2 ranked team in the state of New York, Big Schools. And he heads up Thursday or Friday to Cortland for the state championship, Jason Lichtenstein. And before we get to Jason, Mike, why don't you give us a synopsis of what went on this year? And the little I know is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the last several years, or as far as I can remember, Kevin Gallagher, who does a great job at Minnesink, has always been the dominant team. But this year, Middletown, I don't know if it's an upset, you'll let us know, but Middletown went in there and won the dual championships and is representing Section 9 in the state tournament.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you having us here. Glad for the plug for wrestling. We'd love to hear more on it. It's a great sport. I've known Jason for years. He's doing a phenomenal job at Middletown. And this year in Section 9 wrestling, it's been awesome. I mean, there's been a lot of good things happening. And you correctly stated that going into the season, Minnesink Valley was the favorite. They were usually ranked the number 1 team in the state by anyone who does any rankings or polls or anything like that. Kevin Gallagher does an amazing job. They got a great team. They really do. And there's been a lot of good things happening this year. We had the Eastern States Classic is a big individual tournament that went on a couple weeks ago at SUNY Sullivan. And it was great. Section 9 was well represented. We had some champions, one of them from Middletown, right? Stefan, the heavyweight, won 285 weight class. It was a great tournament, great turnout. There was over 150 schools from 7 states, over 500 wrestlers. There's a girls division. It was just a great tournament.
Does Section 9 have a girls wrestling program like they have teams?
They do.
Do all schools have teams?
Not all.
Right now it's just us at Minnesota.
Yeah.
But other schools have girls that wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
Do girls wrestle only against girls?
Yes.
Okay.
There is an opportunity for them to wrestle against girls, but we do have girls that are still wrestling against boys. Girls wrestling in New York State is currently what's considered emerging sport status. So within, I think, a year, by next year, I think they're actually going to be full-fledged, not in emerging status. But that's their status right now, and it's great. It is the fastest growing sport in the United States is girls wrestling. And
is it really?
Yeah, it is. It's the fastest growing sport, and they're doing a great job. So Eastern States had a girls division. I'll talk a little bit more about girls in a second. But really leading up to last week, it was huge, and this is where I'm going to hand it over to Jason. Is we have what's called the Section 9 Duels Championship, and Minnesink, I think, has won it 6 years in a row. They got a great team. They still have a great team, and they were the number 1 seed going into the tournament. Middletown was the number 2. Both teams followed their seed, got all the way to the finals, and Middletown beat them. They just beat Minnesink. It wasn't like Minnesink had a bad day or anything. Middletown just wrestled extremely tough. All those close matches that could have gone either way, they won just about all of them, and they did a great job. That gave them an automatic pass or punch their ticket to the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Dual Meet Championship. That's this coming Saturday in Syracuse at SUNY, at Onondaga Community College at the SRC Arena. So they're going. There's also a position or an opportunity for teams to get in with a wild card or an at-large bid. And fortunately, Minnesink Valley got
Oh,
one of
they're
those.
in, so you can face them again.
So there's a possibility that they lock horns again, and then they're on opposite ends of the bracket. So the two teams would have to make it all the way to the finals in order to meet again. And we cannot forget there's two divisions in wrestling, Division 1 and Division 2. The Division 2 team was Port Jervis. They've made it for several years now. They're one of the most dominant teams in Section 9 for D2 since they dropped to the D2 status. But they really ran through the competition here in Section 9, and they'll be representing Section 9 as the Division 2 school in the D2 tournament up in Syracuse.
Has Minnesink, with their dominance, has the Section 9 team ever won states?
Yes, Minnesink has a couple of times.
Minnesink has a couple of times. Yeah. My other question is, how many weight divisions are there?
This year there's 13.
13 weight divisions starting at?
This year it's 101, and then it goes 108, 116, 124, 31, 38, 45, 152, and then 160, 170, 190, 215, and 285. Those are the 13 weights.
You have and we'll get to your team, but do you have a wrestler for each weight class?
Yes.
Because if you don't, you forfeit that
6 points.
6 points.
6 points.
Yeah.
And I'll get to your team in a second. When a kid goes to high school and he plays basketball, baseball, football, his goal is to play it in college, and the dream is to play Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL. It's a dream that 0.1% achieve. Is it a problem in wrestling where, I guess you obviously wrestle in college, but the goal is the Olympics, right?
Not anymore.
No?
A lot of those guys become MMA fighters. Like,
Oh, okay.
from Cortland, we had Aljo. He was just a UFC champ. A bunch of my college teammates fought for titles, either through underground or they fought. A couple fought out of Mohegan Sun for different championship
Okay,
belts.
so
Like,
that's what wrestling
a
turns
lot of
to,
times they go off
grappling
to grappling and MMA.
Okay. Now, Dick, we had a side bet, and he said if Middletown wins states, he will do the next show in a singlet.
We have it in the truck.
Yes. Yeah. You need a weird size. It's extra large and then an extra small section. But he would. I think he'd look good in a singlet.
Yeah, beautiful.
Jason, congratulations!
Thank
You've been there for 16 years. I know you're on the football staff. Kevin once told me that wrestlers, football go hand in hand. You agree?
Well, this year we had 4 all-state football players, and they all wrestle.
They all wrestle.
They
Tell
all
us
wrestle.
about your team and some of the guys.
So this year our team is composed mostly of kids that have come through our youth program. Kids that Eugene coached at a young age, and we've been working with those guys since they were 7, 8 years old. And we started that program 10 years ago, and this is the time where it's starting to turn over for us. Like, we've had kids trickle in and out, but this is the point where like the predominant part of our lineup is all Bear Cave kids. And you're seeing it. Like, they have that discipline, they have the understanding of the sport. They understand my expectations because I'm in the room with them at a young age. And it's just a great group of kids that's been part of the program since they were 7, 8 years old.
That's what I was going to ask you. You're very involved in the youth program as well?
So our youth program exploded this year. I run the 5, 6, 7-year-old age group, and Eugene runs the 8 to 12-year-old age group. I have about 30 kids in my age group, and Eugene has about 45 kids in his age group. So every day there's anywhere between 60 and 70 kids wrestling youth from Middletown High School right now.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question that might be perceived as dumb because I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
In basketball, Coach Kelly, I'm sure, is designing plays. Dick's designing plays and everything like that. In wrestling, it can't just be sheer strength. There has to be. What type of coaching is there? Is there new moves? Is there? Talk to me because I don't know.
We have a philosophy of things that we like to do and how we like to coach, and then we coach the kids to our philosophy. But at the same time, though, you have the kids who aren't able to do certain things that we do, so you have to make modifications per each kid, depending if they're able to do it or not. And then as you get to different sizes, they can do different things. Like in a typical year, my heavyweight couldn't do the things that Stefan does, so I'd have to coach him differently. But Steph can do most of
Okay,
everything.
you're talking about Steph. Who's Steph?
So Stefan Monstri is my 285-pounder. He recently committed to SUNY Buffalo. He'll be wrestling Division I next year. He signed the scholarship to go up there.
That's great.
And he's arguably, he took 3rd in the country 2 years ago. He missed last offseason with shoulder surgery, but he's going to go back to take the national tournament this year. He's arguably one of the top heavyweights in the country. He took 3rd and 4th in the country as a sophomore, and this year he's the top-ranked heavyweight in New York State.
Fantastic. So that's the 285. Again, I don't know.
Yep.
Do most schools in Section 9 have a 285 weight class?
Yes, most have them. We're blessed in Middletown this year. We have Stefan, who's our starter, and our backup, Ramir Bradley, took 7th in the state last year. So both of our 285 pounders are all state wrestlers. And there's also the right side of our offensive line at football, which if we got in trouble, you ran the ball on the right. Yeah.
Give us some other kids.
So you got Bryson Tibbs. Bryson Tibbs just took 3rd at Eastern States. He took 6th in New York State last year. He was our starting tight end. So you would just add him over to the right side there. Bryson was also All-State in football this year, and he'll be an All-State wrestler. He's the favorite to win the section title this year, and I think he's one of the favorites to compete for a state title at 215. 190, Jelani Graham. He was All-State in football this year as our running back and linebacker. I think he has an outside shot at the state tournament at 190 pounds. He just knocked off the number 2 ranked kid, who I think at the time was ranked number 7 in New York State. Mm-hmm. And Jelani's only in his 2nd year wrestling. Then you go to the bottom side of our lineup, our 101 pounders, Anthony Naboa. He's probably ranked 4th in the section right now, and he's been one of our Bear Cave kids. He's been with us since he was 8 years old.
Just so people know, Bear Cave is the Middletown Youth Wrestling.
That's our youth program.
Okay.
Yep. At 108, we have Jared Lupian. Jared's, I think, number 3 right now at 108. He's been an absolute hammer for us all year. At 116, Andrew Smith is another football player for us. Another Bear Cave kid came up through the program. He's only a freshman, though. A lot of these kids are young.
That's what my next question was going to be. So this is a team that is
young.
built for the future.
Yeah, I mean, of our 13 starters, 10 of them come back.
Oh.
We graduated 131, 215, and 285. Everybody else comes back.
Add to it, the team that they beat in the finals, Minnesota Valley, they have 2 kids graduating, and PJ Duke is going to probably forego his senior year. I think it's known that he's going to go to an Olympic training center his senior year. So they're going to lose 3. Middletown's going to lose 3, and they'll be probably back at it again. So
that's pretty cool because we have the 2 heavyweights that are both all-state kids. And then we have a freshman coming up that played on our D-line this year, and nobody knows about him yet. And this kid's his name's Damian Douglas, and he is phenomenal. He's going to just slide right in there and just, another great heavyweight.
Do you weigh these kids? Now,
every day.
Again, 108 class. Is there any leeway? Can you weigh 111?
No. I mean, so if you compete on Tuesday and then you wrestle again on Wednesday, the weight class will go up by a pound. So it could be 111. But you have to be 110.0 or under to wrestle the weight class.
Is that I guess it's a problem for some kids, but
not really. You talked about diet, nutrition, how to manage.
That's why wrestling's very good because it's very structured.
Like this morning, 2 of my guys are not struggling, but having a little bit of a hard time. We went for like a 4-mile run. Got a little sweat in.
Meaning you too.
Yeah, if they're gonna do it, gotta do it with them. I can't say nothing to them and then not be able to do it with them. So
when I was in high school, and I would see the wrestling team, a kid trying to make weight. He was dressed up in like aluminum foil.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
That's got to be gone.
The beauty is they put in a weight loss plan this year. So the kids can only lose 1.5% of their body weight a week. So they can't just crash down anymore. And while it's a lot of paperwork for us, it's way safer for the sport. The way the sport was in the 90s, the sport was going to die because you couldn't sustain that.
The sport's growing?
I think it's growing. The popularity, we have 70 kids that wrestle in Middletown High School. There's 70 kids at the high school level that wrestle every year. That's pretty much been our average the past 5 seasons. So I think the sport's growing.
It's going through a correction. COVID hurt a lot of sports, but now we're
going back up now. Yeah. You're not seeing the forfeits you used to see.
That's what I was
at the Division 1 level. You're not. The Division 2 level, they're small.
Gotcha.
The teams are smaller. Schools are smaller.
Like I can't imagine a school like Chester has someone at each weight class.
Pretty close, but not. Yeah. But they carry 20 kids on their team.
Gotcha.
But they only have 400 kids in their high school, so it's hard for them. But at the Division 1 level, when we had 15 weight classes, most teams were filling 15 weight classes. They unfortunately made a decision to go down to 13, which I disagree with. But they felt that the smaller schools, it would help them. But they didn't take out, in football, they didn't take out the kicker because some teams couldn't field the kicker. I don't understand why in wrestling they decided to take out 2 weight classes. I disagree with you.
Now, you wrestled yourself.
Yep.
What weight class did you wrestle at?
I wrestled at 215 in high school.
215 in high school?
285 in college.
You were 285 in college?
Yeah. Well, I was 250. I couldn't get down. So in college, the problem is the weight class is 197 or 285. I wasn't going down.
197 wasn't happening.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? I'll just enjoy life and go 285.
I'd like to see some of these wrestling moves. Maybe next week we'll have you come in and kill Timmy Strenfeld or something.
We tried to get him in the room once. So because we work so well together, because we're family and all, I got him to come into the room a couple years ago, and he lasted about 5 minutes in the room. He was like, you know what? I love you guys. I'll see you guys later. He was a basketball guy in high school. So
I went and watched a few wrestling matches. I found it to be very exciting, to be honest with you. The scoring I don't quite understand. Obviously, you get credit for a pin.
Yep.
But the other scoring, I don't understand
Yeah.
it. So it's
It's a learned art. It's a learned art. Like when I was in high school, my parents knew nothing about it. They grew up in Brooklyn. We came up here, and they're like, "What is this fantasy sport?" By the time I was older and out of college, I would go home and my stepdad would be watching the Big Ten Network. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, "I'm watching wrestling."
that's what I was going to ask
He just
you.
fell in love with it.
Iowa, Michigan, Penn State. The Big Ten is known for wrestling.
Oh yeah,
That's their.
that's what they do.
Big Ten is the best conference in
Yes,
wrestling.
hands down.
Got it. Jason, so you're going up on Thursday or Friday?
We're leaving Friday. We're heading up to Cortland for a practice,
Mhm.
and then we're going to finish the trek up to Syracuse after practice.
And you do a lot of scouting?
Yeah, I have a pretty in-depth scouting report on Carthage and Wantua right now. My spreadsheet is overwhelming. I'm going to have to scale it down so we don't outcoach ourselves.
What do you scout? This kid's very aggressive. This kid goes for the leg. This kid,
I just want to know who they are and
Okay.
how they match up versus our guys, and like where should we go after a matchup? Where should we avoid a matchup? Can we bump a kid
How do you
around?
avoid a matchup?
So you can bump a kid up a weight class. You have the ability to like go from 138 to 145.
That's my question. So you get to the tournament. Does he have to gain 7 pounds?
No,
So you
can
can
go one
wrestle
weight class.
up, but you can't go
You
down.
can't go down.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
more sense.
So there's a couple spots where we know they have some good kids in Watford, especially Carthage to start. We know at 126 and 131 they're really good. Their 138 pounder is pretty good. So we're going to try to make the matchups that work best for us.
Mhm.
Our 131 pounder has a win over their 138 pounder, so we might go back after that matchup from earlier in the year. We might test the waters with some things because we're going to have to we're going to have to create some opportunities for ourselves in order to pull these duels out.
Mike, does Middletown win the state title?
Middletown has a good shot. I mean, listen, the way it works is pools, all right? There's 4 different pools. Each pool has 3 teams in it. He's in with Carthage and with Wantua. Wantua is one of the best teams in the state, so he's got a very tough pool.
Have you ever wrestled Wonto?
We've seen him in tournaments. We've never seen him in a dual meet, but we've seen him in tournaments before.
Like dual meet is 2
Team
teams.
versus team.
Team versus team. We've seen him in individual tournaments. Some of our kids have matched up with them over the years, so we have a pretty good feel who they are.
Yeah. So they got a tough pool, but if they get out of it, they're more than likely going to see Plain Edge, which is another Long Island team, very good. They'll see them in the semis. If they get through that, they're in the finals. And Minnesink is on the other side. They got one tough team in their pool, Hilton. If they get through that, I think their semifinal match is going to be more winnable. I think they got a Minnesink, even though Middletown beat Minnesink may have an easier path to get to the finals. It's just the way that the seeding went out.
Understood.
But there is a good chance you're going to see an all Section 9 final up in Syracuse on Saturday at 5 o'clock, and that would be great for the sport. Yeah.
I see a lot of kids go on, and maybe it's just mainly the Minnesink kids that I've seen go on to these, and Nikki Faye, and some of these kids go on to major Division I schools to wrestle. Is it? I don't want to use the word easy, but I'll use it. Is it easier to get a scholarship in wrestling than it is in other sports?
No, it's probably
Because I know girls lacrosse, they give out scholarships if you walk and chew gum.
the problem with college wrestling right now is only 9.9 scholarships, and there's
Okay.
10 weight classes. So a lot of times we're getting partials, halves. They're finding
Nobody
academic
gets a full
money.
scholarship.
Yeah,
Nobody gets a full scholarship in wrestling. They get a partial and academic help, and they
and the NILs are saving the sport a little bit. Like
Is
it's
it-
killing the big sports, but it's saving the sport like wrestling.
Maybe I'm being naive, but is it a problem that wrestling doesn't bring in as much money or nearly as much money as football? Well, nothing brings in the money as football. I don't mean that. Baseball, basketball. I would say it's football, basketball, then the rest. Where's wrestling?
I
in
would
that?
think if you looked at the revenue generated at the NCAA level for like the national championships, I would think wrestling's up there.
Okay.
It probably jumps past baseball and softball because they sell out that national tournament of 50,000 people for 4 days.
Yeah.
It's a 3-4 day tournament. They sell it out, and they have the ESPN contract. Most of the conferences have their own channel, and like the viewership on that is pretty high. When they get it on ESPN, they had one this year. The viewership was very high when they got on ESPN
they
this
did a
year.
regular Zoom meet on ESPN. It was the first time ever.
Yeah.
It's funny. The only wrestler I can name, and I'm sure he can name, is Hulk Hogan.
It was a good one. But no, the sport does bring in money, but nothing brings in basketball, football money.
No, I know that. That was a silly comparison.
Yeah.
I know that. I was just trying to see where it fit with baseball and soccer and volleyball.
The viewership is higher on the NCAA tournament for wrestling than it is on baseball.
Got it.
Like that, I've seen the stats on because I've looked that up.
And how many kids are on the Iowa roster?
10.
That's it?
10 weight classes.
No, 10 weight. How many
Oh,
kids
the
are on?
roster?
Yeah.
Oh, they usually carry about 25 kids.
That's my question.
Yeah.
So if there's 10 weight classes, you have 15 backups.
Yeah.
And do your backups get into matches?
In the high school level, yes. In the college level, they got to find ways.
At I forgot, 101 weight class, could you have 2 kids wrestle at that
I actually
weight
have
class?
2 very tough kids in 101 right now.
So do they both wrestle in a
They'll
meet?
both go to sections, and they both go to tournaments. For a dual meet, you got to pick one.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a starter.
All right.
But I have a 7th grader right now that's flying under the radar.
Do you have a
He's very
JV
tough.
team?
We have a JV team. They
So you
carry-
bring some kids up?
I'll bring a couple kids up from that every once in a while. Our JV team carries about 40 right now.
Good.
You know, so they're about 40. Our varsity team carries about 25.
Best wrestlers to come out of Section 9, Mike.
Well, right now, it's PJ Duke
PJ Duke.
from Minnesota right now.
What's his weight?
He's 160 pounds. He is ranked number 1 in the country. National rankings, the weight class is 157. He is ranked number 1 in the country. They do these pound for pound rankings. I think he's top 6 or 7.
Where is he going to school?
He's committed verbally to Penn State. He's only a junior. He apparently is foregoing his senior year. He's going to go to Colorado Springs Olympic Training Center.
Has he
for
ever
senior.
lost a match?
Oh yeah, he's lost matches, but not in
So PJ
regular
Duke,
dual meets. But
how about historically? I know, am I saying it right? Bazakis? I watched him in the Olympics.
yeah, he wasn't in the Olympics, but he was.
I watched him somewhere. How would I know his name?
Well, Troy Bazakis was a phenomenal
Yeah,
wrestler.
maybe I
He
just-
actually went to Clemson and got injured, and then that's where his career
Yeah,
ended.
he was at Pine Bush, and
Oh, okay.
and he was in the record all the time when they used
Maybe
to
that's
cover
where I know
wrestling.
it.
And I
He's
said,
a
I
cover
told my
sports.
wife, I said, I got to go see this kid wrestle.
Yeah, I'd be interested to go see his
And
team
as
wrestle.
soon as you walk in the gym, you know who that kid is. You know, it's like he's, it's like
You should
if I
see his
walk-
sons.
Yeah.
His
Oh, I
sons
know,
are
I
his
know.
sons are
They're
phenomenal.
good. They're
Yeah.
good too. Yeah,
Have we had an Olympian?
the Bannock's.
That's what I was thinking.
And Lou Van-
That's
well,
what I
the
was
gold
thinking.
medalist.
They were brutal.
Troy Jervis, yeah.
Yeah.
They were brutal. Those
Probably
guys.
have one in a couple of years.
We could. I
You
tell
would
you.
think Zach would be one in a couple of
We got-
years.
Zach Ryder.
Zach-
You would think,
Ryder.
you would think he's on pace to do it. If anybody was going to do it, you would think he'd be on pace to do it.
Jason, I wish you the best. Who are your assistants? Let's get their names out.
So my varsity assistant coach is Pedro Rosales. Pedro wrestled for me. He was actually my first section champion. Pat Doty is our JV coach. He wrestled 2001 to 2004, Middletown guy. Bobby Mangano, I actually coached him also. He wrestled 2003 to 2007. And then my youth coach is Eugene DeBow. And we're, that's where we are together all the time.
Season is just as long as any other
It is
sport.
the longest season.
It is the longest
The
season.
longest season, by far.
Okay.
And then we have a 2-week break until the state tournament. So we have our team states coming up this weekend, and then we'll have a 2-week break until sections, and then a 2-week break until the individual state tournament.
We've been friends for a while. I'm glad I
Yeah.
had you in. I got an education tonight because I really don't know much about it, and it's great to have you in. Mike has been my wrestling guy. I always say to Mike, I'm friends with Jason.
Welcome. Yeah.
Is the team really good or not? And he says they're good this year. They're very good.
We've been tough for a couple of years. This year it's starting to come together.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you having us on.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
And
appreciate
like I
it.
said, call me tomorrow.
Yes,
Let me know, and
absolutely.
we'll take care of you. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back right after this. We are back. Sports 845. Nice guys. Got an
Terrific.
education on
That
wrestling.
was yeah, we did.
This
We did.
portion of the show is brought to you by Artist
Artist Alley, Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Studio.
Studio, the best hairstylist in the state of Pennsylvania.
Show everybody the hair gel.
Oh yes, okay. There
Look
you
at
go.
that. I tell you, she gives me hair gel. It's got to cost $1,000 because she monitors how much I use. Anyway, Artist Alley, who may be doing some haircuts up here soon to be.
Okay.
To my left, Jimmy Kelly joins us. Jimmy is our Section 9 guy, former coach at Middletown, perennial winner, always at Middletown, was there for years. First question before we get into Section 9. You were here a few weeks ago. Your son had his surgery.
Yep.
How's your son doing?
He's doing well. Thank you for asking. Yeah, he got his cast off. Everything went well. Now he's still in a boot.
Able to shoot?
Yeah, he's getting a lot of shots up. He's just taking it light. He'll be back in a few more weeks.
How does he rehab it? How
It's slow and steady. He can't really put too much pressure on. He's still on crutches right now, but I don't think he'll be around for this season, but hopefully, maybe some late spring AAU and some summer ball.
Goshen's struggling without him.
They were close the other night with Cornwall. They were right there.
Yeah.
Talk to us. Section 9 hoops.
Before I get started with basketball, I just want to give Jason Lichtenstein a shout out because he has done just an amazing job with the wrestling program. I have a lot of his wrestlers in my class. I teach 12th grade social studies, and just the impact he's made and how many kids he's gotten into college. And it's their character, man, and their culture of their program. He's just done a phenomenal job, so I want to give him his flowers.
And rightfully so. And one of the reasons we do this show is not just for the kids. People don't understand and get it how much, especially at a school, and this is no slight, but especially at a school like Middletown or Newburgh, you're not a coach. You're also almost like a parent to some of these kids. And
Jay goes above and beyond with the youth and with the trips and the
guidance.
counseling. Does so much.
So talk to us about Section 9 hoops. Last week or 2 weeks ago, you were telling us Monroe was one of the teams to beat.
They were undefeated in state rank. They had two big upsets.
Go ahead.
Middletown, Mitty Bears fought hard overtime on the road in Monroe, and they came out with a huge victory. Baker Jimenez continues to lead Middletown. Giovanni Barenfine hit 2 big threes late in the game. He stepped up, senior. Mike Culver in overtime hit a big 3. Giancarlo from Monroe had an off night, and Middletown was able to capitalize on it. So it was a big win on the road for the Mitty Bears. And the other upset would be Lourdes. Lourdes lost to New Paltz. I know Lourdes is out. They have their big man out. What's his name there? Pat Fawn. That's a big,
That's still good though.
Oh, they're great.
Good.
They're great. That hurts, but New Paltz has 2 really good guards. They have number 1, whose name is Caden Dones, point guard number 1, very shifty, can get to the rack, can shoot it, can shoot the 3, and they have a freshman who can really shoot the lights out, Rowan Kenny, who's the son of Keith Kenny, who played at Pine Bush, one of the best shooters to come out of Section 9.
Really?
He's now the coach at SUNY New Paltz, where I ended up playing. And big shout out to Keith Kenny because New Paltz is on their best start in school history. They just knocked off Cortland on the road, which was a big win. They're 13-3, 7-2 in their conference, and just doing phenomenal. So big shout out to Keith, and congratulations on his son. His son is going to be a stud. Really good shooter for New Paltz.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with the lower class or the upper class? Wherever you want.
We'll start up at the top. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Monroe is now 11-1, 3-1 in the conference. NFA, 4-6, 3-1 in the conference. They ran into a little bit of trouble. They had a player that was ineligible. Really good guard, Jaden Lorenzo, hell of a kid, great family, really tough shooter. I don't know what happened. I don't have the details, but they had to forfeit a win or 2. I think FDR had to forfeit a win too over in the Mohall. I don't know what's going on with that one.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't know I'll try and get some details on that, but that set them back a little bit. But Newburgh, you can never count Newburgh out. They're so tough with or without him. But he is a great player. Kingston's 9-3, 1-1,
and they're at Middletown Friday.
Yes, that's going to be a big game.
Right. Yeah.
I would definitely be there if my son didn't have
I
a game.
will be there.
My little guy.
I will be there.
Yeah. But Middletown with a big win that brings them to 5-10 overall. But 2-3 in the league, they have to win out. Their backs against the wall, and hopefully they show some toughness. Big win on the road. Coach EJ Harrison is doing great, and Pine Bush is still struggling. At 4-8. In Division II, you have Washingtonville. Todd Rose, I think in his last year, never ever count Todd out. He is a great coach.
Very nice guy.
He is a great guy, and big shout out to him this year. They're 8-5, I think 6-2. They're led by Aiden Sullivan, who's a very, very good player. Warwick's 8-5, 5-2 in their league. You got Cornwall 8-3, 4-2 in their league. Gavin McHurd is a great shooter, senior for Cornwall, and they have a freshman who I just saw named Malik Sanko. Father just moved here from Senegal, and he's 6'5", 6'6".
Just became eligible. He was hurt. I mean,
Tough
he just
kid.
got.
Let me just give you some
Bright
breaking
future.
news. Jim Harbaugh has left Michigan to become the Chargers head coach in the worst kept secret in all of sports.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but no, Cornwall has a
Have
really
you
good
seen him-
freshman.
have you
I
seen him
finally
play?
got to watch him play a full game
Yeah.
against Goshen.
Yeah.
And if he gets a little more, oh my goodness.
How
Yeah,
did
that-
the transfer from Indiana play against them?
He got limited minutes. I didn't get his name, but very smooth.
Yeah,
Good handle. Went to
he-
the rack.
and he's a good passer.
Yep.
He's a good player.
Can shoot it.
Yeah,
He's gonna be
Cornwall
very
could be
good.
good at the end. They could
Absolutely.
be good at the end.
Yeah.
Because Demetrio is playing really, really well.
Yep. So big shout out to Cornwall.
Mhm.
And then after Cornwall, you have Monticello, 7-5, 4-2 in their league. Valley Central, 8-5, 3-3. Goshen's at 5-5 right now. And then Minnesink, and then big shout out to Burke too. Burke's doing really good. 8-1, 4-0 in their league.
Yeah.
Pat O'Boyle's shooting the ball really well.
Do we have a D1 player in Section 9? Potentially? Basketball?
Potentially, yes. I like some of these up and comers right now. I mean, it depends on the fit. Right now, like I said, I still think the top three are Giancarlo from Monroe.
How big is Giancarlo, Jimmy?
I think he's around 6'2", 6'1", 6'2".
Plays the point.
Plays the point. Yep. But he's very explosive, can shoot it. Who knows where he'll be in a year from now if he puts a little weight on, gets a little stronger. I think he could play at that level. DeMonte Thaw, guard, Kingston, tough, can shoot it, can create.
Jimmy, let me ask you a question. I'll ask
Yep.
you this too. You got a kid that's 6'5", 6'4", when you were coaching and when you were coaching. And at 6'4", playing him at center or his back to the basket is probably a benefit for him at the high school level, but a detriment to him at the next level. What do you guys do as coaches? Because at 6'4", he's going to be bringing the ball up the court at the next level.
Right.
What do you guys do as
Well, it
coaches?
depends on what his skill set is at that time.
Okay.
You know, can he bring the ball up? You know, can he rebound it and get it and go with it? You know,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Right.
But if he's limited with his ball handling, then you have to put him in a position where he can excel,
Right.
maybe close to the basket. But you can work those things out in practice. That
Right.
doesn't necessarily have to be done. You can put him with all the guard skills you want. You know, as a matter of fact, let him play with, you know, let him do the drills with the guards as opposed to the big
Right.
men.
Right.
As
But I
opposed
guess my
to the-
question is, are you spending more time prepping him for the next level or winning games today, or a combination of both?
You have to find that combination of both.
Yes.
Okay.
If they
Yeah.
want to play at the next level, you have to.
Gotcha. Because I remember, and I think I've told you this, and
Yeah.
I'll mention his name.
Yeah.
You remember him. I don't know if you do. I went with my dad to watch Lou Farragut play. Remember Lou Farragut?
At Roscoe.
At Roscoe.
Yeah.
This kid was averaging 50 points a game,
Wow.
360 dunks, could do everything. And the coach of, or someone at Marshall University called up and said, "Hey, Bobby, can you go watch this kid go speak to?"
Yeah.
So Roscoe was up by 100 at the half, and my
Yeah.
dad went down and spoke to Freddie
Mhm.
Ahart
Yeah.
and said, "Can you do me a favor and have Lou bring the ball up the court in
Yeah.
the second half?"
Mhm.
And Freddie said, "No, he can't."
Yeah.
And then we left.
Yeah.
That was it. Because that's the biggest thing. Because when you were younger,
Yeah.
or even when I was younger, a 6'4" guy was a big guard.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at 6'8" guys playing the two guard.
Yeah.
And it's really changed.
Well, let me put it this way to you. My senior year, I was the second tallest player in Orange County. I can't say Section 9 because my mind's not working that way, but the players I played against, I was all bigger than,
Mm-hmm.
except for one.
Mhm. And
Except
you
for-
played with your back to the basket?
Who was the bigger one?
No, he let me. Kit Fry from Eldred. He was 6'9". He went to St. John's. He went to St. John's,
Okay.
but we beat them in the Section 9 tournament. He didn't have anybody to play with.
Right.
Let me put it that way. He didn't have any. We pressed him. We kept the ball away from him, that
Okay.
kind of thing. And I had a hell of a high school coach, so I mean, we knew what we were doing going in. But no, he let me. He let me go. How the hell do you think I got to college? You
Well,
know,
that's
I
what
had-
I'm asking.
Yeah.
Are you prepping? Do you pull a kid aside who's 6'4" and say, "Listen, what you're doing is tremendous.
Yeah.
But if you want to play at the next level, stay after practice and dribble with your left hand."
A lot of shots after practice,
Yeah.
working them into the wing. Every big man in Middletown wanted to play the guard. And then all
Yeah.
the parents wanted them to play guard.
Right.
I said, okay, that sounds good, but who's going to play big if he plays guard? We don't, so you have
Yeah.
to find that
My
balance.
inner thing, I was a point guard. I still think I was a point guard. Are you kidding me?
Well, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
every
Yeah.
player who plays basketball has to have a point guard
Oh,
mindset.
mentality.
Let's do
Absolutely.
this. When we come back, Jimmy, I want to finish up with Section 9. Village Pizza, located on Greenwich Avenue in Goshen. They have the best pizza around, 1,000,000 pizza places in Goshen. If you want a slice, chicken parm, anything, you go there.
Sal's the best.
They are. Family-run business. It's been there for 108 years. And I also want to give a shout-out to the people that feed us every night, and that's Napoli Pizza. Napoli is owned by the great Jason Berman, And Napoli Pizza, their address is 2920 Route 6, Slate Hill, New York. NapoliPizzaOnline.com. They do a great job of making sure we're fed every night. We'll be right back. We are back. Sports 845. Dick O'Neill and Jimmy Kelly sticking around. He's got some more on Section 9 and beyond. More hoops talk about some local kids that are doing great and some coaches that, you know, the worst kept secret or the best kept secret in this county is right behind us.
Yeah, right up the hill.
They lost last year in the championship game or the Final Four.
Right.
And Coach Ricard does an incredible job. And one of the things I really like about him, besides the fact he's a nice guy, is he looks to get a bunch of local kids and run with it. And he does a great job. So go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, Tom Ricard's doing an amazing job. I mean, he's runs a great program. This year they're led by one of the guards that played at Middletown, scored 1,000-point Marquise Gill, who's back, and he's doing really well. And they're 14-4 right now, 3-1. And,
Sullivan's always their toughest test locally, right?
They played Sullivan at home, but 3 of our starters were out. Matt Shea was injured, Marquise Gill was injured, and so was their big, I can't think of his name. So they had 3 starters out. It was still a close game. They lost, I think, by 10. So at Sullivan should be a good game if everyone's healthy. And I just got to go to Army to see Danny Ricard coach at Stony Brook. Stony Brook beat Army in overtime. It was a great game. Big shout out to Danny Ricard, 17 years at Stony Brook. Great family. Their father was my coach at SUNY Orange for 2 years, and he was an amazing coach.
He's the head coach
and an amazing man. Danny Ricard is the assistant. He's been assistant there for 17 years. So great coach, doing great things. Yep.
You're here, and I wanted to mention something before we get into NBA and college basketball. LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players that's ever played the game. He gets a seat at the table. Is he better than Michael Jordan?
No.
In my opinion, not close.
Mine either.
Not close. I don't know if he's top 4, top 5, or top 10, but he gets a seat at the table.
He's there.
He is great.
He's there.
But I never saw a guy talk out of both sides of his mouth and volunteer to talk. And let me give you a prime example. Last night, the Bucks fired Adrian Griffin. Right or wrong, they fired him. But believe me, he wasn't fired unless Giannis gave the okay. And for LeBron James to go out of his way, he wasn't even asked the question, to go out of his way to make a point after the Laker game and say, what happened in Milwaukee is disgusting. Adrian Griffin had 13 interviews, finally got a job. They're 30-13 and they fire him. And the reporter, the interview person says, well, LeBron, you're right. It's the Players League and blah, blah, blah. And LeBron goes, it's ridiculous. If this reporter had the guts, the balls to say to him, LeBron, David Blatt was 30-11 when you got him thrown out of Cleveland.
You're right.
And the year before, you lost in the NBA Finals with David Blatt. You were 52-39. And then the following year, you're 30-11 and they fired him. But they don't ask those questions to LeBron, and LeBron forgets about those things. That's why, when Jordan's asked, are you a Republican or a Democrat, they both buy sneakers. So he keeps his mouth shut when he doesn't know. But LeBron just insults your intelligence every chance he gets. Did you see him say that?
No, I didn't. I did not. I'm sorry, I did not.
But
no.
You agree with me?
I do. I definitely
David
do.
Blatt was a sacrificial lamb. The guy won 30 of 41 games with Kyrie being hurt, and they fire him.
And the whole thing is what he says carries a lot of weight.
Yes, he had the whole thing with China, the whole thing with everything. This guy, he just talks.
Yeah, well,
I'm not a fan.
No, let's talk a little. Jimmy, you want to stick around? We're going to talk some college hoops.
Yeah.
Dick, I am wearing underneath this shirt that Ernest Alley got me, my Tar Heel shirt,
I got you.
because North Carolina right now is 16-3, third ranked. They're playing, I think, the best ball in the country right now.
Maybe. I can't disagree with that. I can't disagree with that.
They had 3 losses somewhat early. They lost to Kentucky, they lost to Villanova, and they lost to someone else. But their 3 losses are the 3 big schools, and they're really playing well. The question I have for both of you, and I don't know how often you get to, because you're busy, you get to relax, sit down and watch a game. I was looking at the NBA mock draft, And to be honest with you, it's not a very good draft. Zach Edey, coach.
Yeah.
Here's where I ask your professional opinion. Zach Edey is putting up, let's say, 30 and 15 every night for the number 2 or 1 ranked team in the country. He's projected as a late second-round pick.
Because he's got slow feet, I guess. That's what I keep hearing. But he still gets the ball in the basket. He still gets it off the basket. And he's what is he? 7'4"? Is he 7'4"?
He's big. He's over 7 foot.
Yeah, he's 7'4".
And he's a big.
Yeah.
He's not Sean Bradley.
Yeah.
So who would you rather have, Edey or would you have Filipowski from right here in
Well,
Minnesota?
I think
I'm a Dookie.
Filipowski. I'm a Tar Heel. I think Filipowski can do more, but
I think he will in the NBA.
yeah. And I saw him going actually to the Knicks in one of the mock drafts. But I'm not so surprised. I'm not comparing the two, but I was just surprised that Edey was that low down on the draft. And if you look at the mock draft this year, Dick, I promise you, the top 15, you won't know one of them. They're all from Europe.
And the thing of it is, the draft experts, so to speak, are not that high on Filipowski either for whatever reason.
It's a very down draft
I
this
thought
year,
they had
which
him at
helps.
number 10 right
But
now
it's
in
a
the first
down
round.
draft. Anywhere from 10 to 17, I've seen them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It depends on the team's needs,
Yeah.
Yep. But Duke is not having a great year.
Well, see, here's the thing. Other than the top 5 or 6, or let's say the top 10 in the NBA, after that, there's more free agents playing in the NBA than there are draft picks for most part.
Well, there's 2 rounds.
There's probably 100 players in the NBA that I never even heard of, until they got to the NBA.
Right. But
You know?
again,
Yeah.
there's only 2 rounds.
Yes.
And you have the G League now.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
it is.
Yeah.
The draft this year is not a very good draft. And we'll get into some reasons why I would trade draft picks and everything like this. One of the things I wanted to ask you guys about is an underrated coach. And I know he's been in trouble and he's probably not well liked by the coaching fraternity.
Right.
But Bruce Pearl is 665 and 258.
Mhm.
He's the only D1 coach that never played basketball at any level in his life.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Bruce Pearl?
Well, he's been in trouble everywhere he's been.
He also was a rat.
No, I understand that,
Yeah,
but he's been in trouble everywhere he's been. From a recruiting point of view, outstanding. He's got that gift of gab. It's like Sampson at Houston. I don't think.
Well,
much
Sampson to me is a very good coach.
Well, I disagree with that, but
Really?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think he's just a really good recruiter, and I think his teams kind of don't get there at the end, do they? It's just not. And he's got as much talent. He's got as much talent on that Houston team as anybody in the country.
Okay.
If you go talent wise, if they're not in the Final Four, I think there's something wrong. I think they're that good.
Okay.
I think they're that good.
Okay.
What he did. Look, he couldn't get it done at St. John's.
Who? Pearl?
Sampson.
Oh,
He couldn't get it done at St. John's.
I don't even remember him being in St. John's.
Oh, he was. He
Okay.
was. Well, he tried to recruit DeGroat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we had dinner up in Monticello. He
Okay.
came up. But anyway,
How's Patino doing at St. John's? I haven't
terrible. They're getting. There's a big article in the Post today.
Yeah, but I disagree with you. Patino, I think you said terrible.
Oh no! I think he's a hell of a coach.
No.
Oh,
But they're losing a lot of close games, St. John's.
they got beat by 20 by Seton Hall.
They lost by 1 to Marquette the other night.
Yeah.
But I think they're back. I think St. John's, listen, 1 year, coach, you got to give him a pass. 1 year.
Well, here's where I think he made a mistake. He took a bunch of Iona players and a bunch of mid-major players
Mm-hmm.
that just don't play against UConn and play against Marquette and play against North Carolina.
Right.
They were great when they were at Iona.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't so great at the next.
Yeah, but he was also, he took the job. He
No, I
didn't do any
understand. I
recruiting.
understand.
He had to go
Yeah,
that route.
Yeah. But the way they were recruiting, I thought he should have been a Final Four team, but it doesn't work that way. It
No.
doesn't work that way.
So you're a Duke guy?
I do.
You like Shire?
I do.
I do too.
And you watch all the Duke games. What are your thoughts on local kid? We talked about him, Kyle Flipkowski.
Yeah, Flip.
What are your thoughts?
I saw Flip and his brother.
Yeah.
His brother's at Harvard,
at Harvard.
Yeah.
my alumni.
They came to our
Yeah,
summer
okay.
camp at Middletown High School, and they were in 5th grade, and they were figuring it out, but they were studs.
I couldn't even say it right. My alma mater.
But no, he's doing well. My kids love him.
Yeah.
My kids went down and did the summer camp down there and got to meet him and see him. And, they mentioned the camp. He said, "I'll say hi to your dad." So he's a great kid, great family, and I really love him.
He's the
I
leading
do too.
scorer
I
on
think,
Duke,
I
right?
think he's a hell of a
Yeah.
player.
He can shoot it. He can put it on the deck. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he should take more shots. But
He
yeah,
is
no.
now. He
Yeah,
is
I
now.
saw actually
He is now. He has to now.
Shire
Yeah.
yelling at him and
Yeah.
saying, being
Yeah,
more
he-
aggressive.
he
Get it
has
to
to.
flip.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it to flip.
Yeah, he was getting the ball in the low post and looking this way. I'm
Too
saying,
much, yeah.
man, you got they got you in the ball where the place where you could do the best with it.
Right.
We got a better option with you doing this than this guy kicking it from out there. So I mean,
Absolutely.
I love the way he plays. I
Yeah.
really love the way he plays.
Listen, he's
Yeah.
going to play at the next level.
Oh hell yes.
Is his
Yeah.
brother going to play at the next level?
Mm,
I haven't seen him play enough.
Nor have
you know,
I.
Yeah.
Nor have I. Yeah.
Is he starting at Harvard? Well, let me look. You guys,
I don't think so.
discuss.
I watched them both play for the New York Wrens in the summer, AAU, and they had a nice, high-low thing going. It was tough for anyone to compete with. I know Flip is Kyle is 7'2".
Yeah.
I don't think he's 7'2",
Is
is
he?
he? I thought he was smaller.
Is he 6'11", 7'?
I thought he was 6'10".
Who?
I
Which
thought-
one?
Kyle.
At Duke.
Oh, I thought he was a 7 foot.
I thought he was 7'2". I might be mistaken. but
Okay.
I could be
I'm
wrong,
not
though.
sure the size, but they're both both were studs in the AAU circuit. Played for the New York Renaissance, and that's the last time I've seen
His
him
brother
play.
Matt is averaging 1 point, 1.5 rebounds, but he's not playing a lot right now. Harvard's got a pretty decent team. And,
There's a Duke Amica coaches there.
is he still there, Tommy?
Yeah. That's
And-
probably why the kid's there.
Probably.
Hmm.
Kyle is averaging basically 19 and 10.
Yeah.
7 foot.
7 foot.
Yes.
But he still needs to put up some more shots. He still needs to do that. He
Yeah.
still needs to do that.
Yeah, I didn't look at
Because
his
you know
shots.
what he
but
can
it-
do? He can run the floor also. It's not like he's,
Yeah.
when he's hanging around, kicking it out, hanging around. He can
Right.
run the floor. They need to get him the ball where the best opportunity for him to
He's got a
score.
very high basketball IQ
He does.
as
Oh,
well
He
as
does.
everybody
He
on the
does.
Duke team.
He bulks up a little bit, gets
Yeah.
a little stronger.
He's the point of being too unselfish at this point. He's got to be. He's got to put this team on his back here for at least a bit.
Jimmy, before you go, Michigan, Ohio State, the Packers and the Bears, Colorado and
Don't ask
Nebraska.
me a football.
No, I'm not. To me, nothing is bigger and nothing is better than Duke, Carolina.
I like
Oh,
that. I like that.
Big
And
rivalry.
yeah.
I love. It doesn't matter where
Yeah.
they're ranked.
Yeah.
It's a game, and
Yeah.
if you look up, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They show
Yeah.
the stats all the time.
Yeah.
I think if they played 100 times, it's like 50-50,
Yeah.
and the point differential is 2.
Yeah, it's always close.
And they are some of the greatest games. I can't wait to see it. I'm a diehard Tar Heel fan, but when the Tar Heels lose, people say I'm crazy. I like to see Duke win because I love that rivalry.
Right.
And again,
It is the
what was
best.
it? 2 years ago, the Tar Heels were down. Duke was 1. Carolina goes into Cameron and beats them. It doesn't matter where they're ranked.
I just think that lost a little mystique. That used to be really huge. I mean, people used to stay up. It
Well,
was
you know
like
what?
it
You know
was
what?
the talk of the town. Duke and North Carolina are going to because they were always there. Now there's a lot of teams there.
Right.
You know
And
what
the
I'm
other
saying?
thing is, it got watered down a little because they played twice,
Yeah. right.
and they also usually play in the
top-
ACC
the
final.
right?
And
So,
then they,
I'll
right.
never forget. I woke up my whole family when Leitner hit the shot.
Oh,
Ran
Oh,
away.
oh, yeah.
And I started screaming
Oh,
like a
yeah.
madman. It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
11 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
My whole family came running out in the living room like, what's going on? They thought it was
Oh,
a
yeah.
fire.
that
Oh,
was
yeah.
the
Oh.
Grant Hill great pass.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
come on.
yeah,
That was awesome.
and Calipari didn't like it. He was the only one in the building that didn't like it.
And Bobby Hurley was an amazing point guard. I had
That
a
wasn't
fun moment.
Calipari. It was
I-
Patino.
I got a call.
Patino, correct?
It was
Sorry,
Patino.
I got a phone call. I'm a big Duke fan, always have been. I'm in Burger King ordering my food when Kendrick Ray was my point guard. And the phone rings, and I didn't know the number. I picked it up. How you doing, Coach? It's Bobby Hurley. We really like your guard. When he was at Wagner,
Yeah.
they were recruiting Kendrick to go
Yeah.
there. He ended up going to Quinnipiac.
Oh, okay.
But I'm like, Bobby Hurley? And so that was a moment for me. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
how you doing, Coach? I tried to get Kendrick to go to Wagner so bad just so I can get that connection, but he ended up going
And
to
his
Quinnipiac.
brother's doing a hell of a job at UConn.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
But
Amazing.
you could argue
No.
that Duke team had 5 of the great college basketball players of all time, winners, and really the leader Leitner wasn't a great pro.
Not in
it
the
was
NBA, no.
it was just a great college
One of
team.
the best college players ever.
It was a great college team.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be back. Orange County Bagel with 4 locations sponsors this portion of the show. Orange County Bagel has locations in Walden, Washingtonville, Middletown, and Goshen. We do catering, we do deliveries, and we have fresh, hot bagels every day. We'll be back right after this. Back here at Sports 845, Darin Kunis and Dick O'Neill. We had some good guests. You know,
Terrific.
Section 9, we can't
Been
cover
a really good show.
Yeah, we
Been a
can't
good show.
cover it on our own.
No, we can't.
And we need help, and they provided it.
Right.
The national stuff, you and I could do.
Right.
Dick, we'll get to football at the end. We'll save it to the end.
Okay.
And then I have a question, a quick baseball question
Yeah.
for you. But for the first time in a long time, well, the last few years it's been better, but you even mentioned it. You're not watching a half or a quarter. You're watching whole games.
Of the Knicks, yeah.
The Knicks are exciting, and you saw last night when the Knicks play the Nets. This is a New York rabid Knick
Right.
town.
Right.
It doesn't matter when the Nets had Durant and Harden.
Made no difference.
Made no difference.
Right.
It's a Knick town.
Right.
And the Garden is absolutely electric. I like the trade. For the first time in, I would say, 20 years, I have complete confidence in the Knick front office to do the right thing.
Well, here's the thing. The more I see of OG Anunoby, they could have traded anybody other than Brunson for him. Now that I've seen how good a player he is, they could have traded Randall. They could have done whatever the hell they wanted.
Last night, a perfect
to get
example.
him.
He had a bad night offensively,
Right.
but he had like 5 steals, 3 blocks, and he disrupts the offense of the opposing team every time down the
He
court.
disrupts the paint. He
Yeah.
disrupts the paint,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm talking about. They didn't have that kind of player. Now they do.
So they have, yeah, I agree. OG has been great.
Right.
The Knicks need to add something,
Right.
and I think they will. The dream guy is probably, for me, is DeJounte Murray.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if they get Murray, you could argue could be one of the best defensive teams in the league. If they don't get Murray, and I'm not giving up 5 first-round picks for him or anything like that, but the second level guys we talked about, we all like. We like Alec Burks.
Very
We
much.
like Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Mhm.
We like Malcolm Brogdon.
Mhm.
These are not guys that are going to move the needle on any, they're only going to move the needle on a team vying for a title.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not putting the Knicks there yet, but when they match up against Milwaukee, that's where OG
Yeah.
is so much more valuable than Barrett or Quickly.
And that's where these 3 guys will
Exactly.
make that team better just by them being there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Rozier was on the list. He goes
Right.
to the Heat.
Right.
I don't know if it necessarily does much for the Heat. It
he-
helps them.
He needs the ball. You
Mhm.
know, he needs the ball, and that may work out for Miami. That may work out fine for Miami, and I think it will. But he wouldn't have fit with the Knicks, I don't think.
I think he would have fit on the second unit, but I don't know
Okay.
if that's what he wants to do. And if you get a player that's a malcontent,
Right,
that's the
right.
last thing you
And
want.
they must have known that. They must have known that.
You could look at now it's fine. You could look at a guy like Kyle Lowry possibly on the buyout market.
right,
You could look
right.
at a guy like Gordon Hayward possibly on the buyout market. These are guys I'm not trading assets for, but just picking up.
I didn't know Gilden Hayward was still playing.
Yeah,
Who's
he-
he playing for?
Charlotte.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't know.
It's funny. Charlotte's going to break it down.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a guy that could really be good on the Knicks. He's good anywhere. But you'd have to really do your due diligence on the part of bringing him in. And that's Miles Bridges.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
No, he's a very
He's like a Randall clone.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Now you have 2 Randalls.
Yeah.
Do we need 2 Randalls?
Well-
Are you talking about a second team, Miles
I'm
Bridges?
talking about a guy that could get 28 to 34 minutes a game
Yeah.
playing between first and second unit. He's going to get his playing time. But I just say that only because Charlotte is looking to break it down. I think they took a big PR hit in bringing him back.
Mhm.
And if you could get him on pennies on the dollar, which I don't know if you can, that's just another guy I'm going to mention.
Well, you can never have enough good players. Let's put it that way.
I'm talking about his off-the-court stuff.
No, well,
I guess we both take John Morant.
yeah.
Coach, the Knicks are 27-17. They sit in 5th in the Eastern Conference. This week, Joel Embiid is
It's a monster.
And I said to Jeff Glotzer the other day, Joel Embiid could be the best big man I've seen in my lifetime. And he said, Darin, he might not be the best big man in the league, meaning Jokic.
Right.
But Embiid is having an offensive year like I've never seen.
I agree with you.
He is just so dominant.
Right. And he's playing every night.
He's playing well. He's
No, but what I'm
most
saying,
nights.
yeah, he for them big guys when he runs the floor, so
Yes.
he's hurting a little bit, you
Yeah.
know. And he's. I don't think people realize how big he. And I'm not talking about tall.
No,
I mean,
he's big.
he's a house.
Would
He's
you-
a damn house.
I'm going to ask you two questions.
Yeah.
You have the first pick in the draft.
Yeah.
You have Joel Embiid or Jokic. Who are you taking?
Jokic,
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
because he makes the rest of the players better.
I agree.
Yeah.
Second question. You've seen Victor Wembanyama play for about 40 games.
Yeah.
Are you starting your team with Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren?
Way beyond that.
Me too.
Don't forget, he's putting up them numbers, and he's getting between 25 and 29 minutes. That I don't understand. I don't understand why you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's putting up them. But don't take anything away from Holmgren. I think he's turned into be a hell of a player.
OKC is 30
Oh,
and 13. Last year they were 13 and 30 without Holmgren.
Right. And the thing of it is, the guy you don't hear anything about is Jalen Williams, and he could be a good player on any team in the NBA.
And SGA is
Yeah,
unbelievable.
but we know that.
Yes.
But I think Jalen Williams, not a lot of people know.
You're right.
And I really didn't know until I've been watching a little bit of what he does. And
You're right.
man, he is a hell of a player.
OKC is building again what they built with Durant and Harden
Right,
years ago,
Right.
and it seems like these guys want to be there.
I agree. I agree.
So the two teams I wanted to talk about, surprise teams.
Let's
Go
go
ahead,
back.
go
Let's
ahead.
just go back to OKC. Their upper staff, their general manager and their president, them guys know what the hell they're doing.
Mhm.
They really know what they're doing. The general manager, they know how to put together a team. They know the kind of players they want to put together as a team.
And they know the type of players
Yeah.
now that I think that want
Yeah.
to be there.
Don't forget, if that OKC team that had Durant and that crowd on it with
Harden,
not a Harden
Westbrook.
and Westbrook, if they ever stayed together, they'd have won some NBA championships. I believe.
Perhaps,
I
yeah.
believe. I thought they were that good.
Yeah. Siakam was traded earlier in the
Right.
week,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, or
Yeah.
7 days ago,
Yeah.
to the Pacers. The Pacers, I think it's a good move for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Particularly with Halliburton now.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
The two teams, though, that are kind of surprising me this year, the Hawks are 18 and 25. We talked they might move DeJounte Murray. It looks like they might move Clint Capella.
Mhm.
And that's one team. And the Warriors are 18 and 22. Reportedly, everybody's available but Steph Curry.
Right.
If the Knicks can somehow swoop in and get Kuminga and Looney, I'd be thrilled to death.
Okay, that's not bad.
You
But
know,
I don't think anybody should be looking at the other guard. Help me,
Clay.
I think he's
It's done. He's had two ACLs.
Maybe not necessarily done, but he's just not near the player
No.
he was.
I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
I would take him on his second unit. In a
Oh
second.
no, yeah, but that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. If you're
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
him in as a major piece,
No.
I think
No.
that's a mistake.
No, and
Yeah.
I think they know that.
Yeah.
They're not getting much
Yeah.
for him.
Just on a side note, did you see that dunk that Zion had last night? Did you see any of that?
No, no.
All right, if you get a chance, go on.
Zion Williamson with
God.
the dunk.
Oh God.
The Pelicans are 26 and 18.
Yeah.
Carl Anthony Towns of the T-Wolves, the same night Embiid put up 70, Towns put up 62. And you're a coach. You saw the coach's reaction from
Oh, yeah.
Minnesota, and
Yeah.
I thought he was right.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of the game,
Yeah.
and all it was a joke. They were just trying to get Towns points after points after points.
It was like watching Kobe in his last game when he threw up the 80.
80
Yeah.
on 91
Yeah,
shots.
but that I could understand. He's on his way out. He's
Yeah.
he's
He
one
wanted
of
to
the
put on a
all-time. He's one of the all-time greats. Let him go out that way. Timberwolves aren't there yet.
No.
I mean, and
No.
they're a good team. They're
No.
a good team, but they're not. But the coach is right. I was very happy with what he said.
Yes, so was
very
I.
happy. With
I
what he
was.
said.
We mentioned Adrian Griffin fired. We mentioned the comparison to David Blatt
Yeah.
fired. The Clippers are playing very well. Doc Rivers agrees to be the head coach of the Bucks. I don't know if that's a needle mover or not. Rivers hasn't, he coaches very good teams.
Yeah, and he doesn't get them to the finish line.
No,
you
that's
know,
my-
it's
that's my
you
point.
know, why would you? That Celtic team he had. Look
Yeah.
at that. Then the 76er team, when they had the pieces, that didn't work either.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And what do you have? The Clippers. He did nothing with them, right? Was it the Clippers?
Yeah, he didn't win there. I mean, he won. He does what he does every
Yeah,
year. He wins
yeah.
50 games and loses.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to Jeff, and I said to him, and I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah.
If you could pick any player in the NBA and put him on the Knicks tomorrow, non-center, who would you pick? He gave me his pick.
Any player.
Any player.
in the NBA.
Yeah.
Oh boy. That's a hard one.
The way the Knicks are constituted now.
Yeah, that's a hard one. A non-center.
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 He picked Sean Gilchrist-Alexander.
Sounds good. Yeah.
I went Anthony Edwards. I don't think he get hurt either way.
No.
Edwards is a little bit better shooter.
Yeah.
So that's it with the NBA. We'll have Jeff on. The trade
Yeah.
deadline is February 8th.
Yeah.
I expect things to happen before that,
Yeah.
but I do think the Knicks will improve.
I do.
I'll tell you, Mikhail Bridges is another guy
Oh
like that.
no, you know what? But again,
Yeah. We'll get to the NFL in 1 second. I have a quick question for you. We're both Met fans.
right?
They haven't done much this
No,
offseason, if
no.
anything.
No.
I'm going to give you one trade and ask you if you would do this. Would you trade Jeff McNeil for Gleyber Torres and take Stanton off their hands if the Yankees agreed to pay some money?
No.
I would.
Would you?
I don't like McNeil.
Okay.
Gleyber Torres last year hit 273, 25, and 70. I mean, that's what he hit. Stanton hit about $1. He hit like 108. But it's something in Citi Field and Shea Stadium. When Stanton came there, he hit bombs every day.
But
I'd rather have him as my DH.
yeah, but the thing of it is, then they've signed DHs. I mean, how many DHs?
Oh, they don't have one. They don't have one. Vogelback is not on the team. Ruff's not on the team. They don't have one.
How about some of the outfielders they signed? You know, I got to catch up a little bit.
Yeah,
with
but
the
I'm just
Mets.
talking about Stanton as a DH. And that's it.
Nah,
Okay.
first of all, he's hurt too often.
Okay.
He's hurt too
I
often.
listen. Would you trade McNeil for Torres? I would.
Okay, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Here's my big one. I think the writing is on the wall. I think Alonso is going to be traded. Now, as a Met fan, I don't like it. But as a Met fan that's thinking with his head, not his heart, I think it's the right move. Trading him instead of signing him to a 7-year, $300 million deal. It's not my money, but Alonso last year did hit 216. He's a great player, and we both agree.
216.
Yeah, he hit 218, 220.
No.
Yeah, Alonso,
Yeah.
batting average was terrible last year. I'll look it up while we talk.
Okay.
But my point is, RBIs and
Yeah.
RBIs are the most important thing, and he's great at that.
All right, and home runs.
And home runs,
Again.
which contribute to RBIs.
Right.
I would move Alonso if I could get. First of all, I want prospects and a major league star. I'm talking about starting with a guy like Vladimir Guerrero, starting with a guy, a star. Someone who's going to be there and be a star. But I think they could move him. Alonso hit 217.
Did he?
We'll get back. There's going to be a lot of talk.
All right,
and
okay,
There's still a lot of players out there. Dick, what did you think of the games last week, the football games?
I thought they were all very, very entertaining. I
They were.
enjoyed all of them. I just feel bad for Josh Allen. He did everything but win. You know.
How about Tyler Bass? Or whatever his name is, the kicker. Wide right in.
Yeah, that.
But it's amazing.
but-
Diggs can blame the quarterback, but he forgets that he dropped a bomb right. And you talk about Allen, put it right in his hands.
he threw that 60. That might have been the best pass I've ever seen
I agree.
a pro make.
I agree.
He threw that 65 yards on a rocket, and
With the wind.
Even he had Shakir open in the end zone on the thing, and he got banged by one of them, and it turned it when he short hopped it in the end zone there. What what are we going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? He had him open. He saw him. He just didn't get it to him because he got hit.
Dick, the Kansas City Chiefs could have the worst wide receiving core in football.
They do.
Rice is going to be good,
Right.
but they're terrible.
Yeah.
How is Travis Kelce open on every play?
I don't know. I've been saying that for 5 years.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Guy's wide open every
I
play.
put 3
The
people on
only
there.
person you have to guard,
Right.
worry about is Kelce, and
And-
he's wide open.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 touchdowns, and he's always wide open.
Yeah, and he did the hard thing like you do to me.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just don't. The thing, I'm at the point now where I'm with Mahomes until somebody beats him.
Okay,
You
so
know?
Chiefs play the Ravens. The Ravens are a 3.5 point favorite.
Right.
All year long, you and I talked 49ers Ravens. We
Right.
agreed.
We agree.
Do you have a change of opinion?
I don't, but I can't. If I could never bet that game because of like I said, until Mahomes gets beat,
Okay.
I'm with Mahomes.
You're taking Kansas City.
Right.
Who are you taking in the second game?
I'd like to see Detroit because I've been rooting for them all year, as you know.
Mhm.
And but I just don't think it depends. I didn't realize what a big difference not having
Debo.
Debo on the field is, particularly in Purdy's mind. I
Yeah.
just think, and I didn't realize they showed things to him. He's not only fast, he's a brute. I mean, he gives them other dimensions. He gives them a whole nother dimension. He makes it better for CMC, the whole deal.
I'm going to surprise you here.
Okay.
I actually love the Lions.
Do you?
In this-
Okay.
with the 7.
No, understood.
I think it's going to be the Lions and the Ravens.
in the Super Bowl.
Yes,
I could live with that. I
I'm
could live with
changing
that.
my opinion.
Okay.
Especially if Debo's out because
Right.
of what you just said.
Yeah.
But there's this pixie dust Disney type thing going on in Detroit where Jet fans are going to be crazy if the Lions get to a Super Bowl
Right.
because we always said as Jet fans, the only team worse than us is the Lions. Well, the Lions are, and they're not very well coached. They're very good coaches that I think the players love to play for, but he makes some decisions that you scratch your head.
Really.
It's amazing when you're any type of coach.
Yeah.
When you're a coach and you go for 2 and it works,
Mhm.
you're a genius.
Right.
You go for 2 and it doesn't work, you're an absolute
Right.
moron.
Right.
I don't understand for the life of me. Maybe you can explain this. Lions, Rams last week. Why did the Rams go for 2?
I have no idea. I was talking to him.
I don't care what the
I said,
analyst-
AJ, what the hell are they doing? He
Yeah.
says, I don't know. I just don't know.
No idea what they were doing.
No. But I will tell you this. Goff is playing as well as any quarterback in that Final Four.
At home. Let's see him do it.
Yeah,
on the
all right.
road. And I'm
Okay.
banking on it.
Okay. Yeah, but it's still going to be warm weather.
Yes.
It's still going to be
Yeah,
warm
but it's
weather.
no turf. And it's,
Right.
I agree.
Right.
I like the Lions and the Ravens. You like the Chiefs and Frisco.
Right.
Okay. We'll see. Rich, who do you like?
Frisco,
And
I think the Lions, definitely.
all right, I think
I'm sorry.
You can't have both.
Ravens.
Yeah.
Ravens. Okay. We'll be back next week to talk about the Super Bowl that's going to be coming up. We will be in Vegas. We have the press passes and everything. We'll
Okay.
speak to Rich, but we're going to be going to Vegas. We got that today. Obviously, we're on Radio Row.
Yep.
We'll talk NFL draft. We can talk about that for weeks about what the Giants should do and shouldn't do. The Jets, what they should and shouldn't do. I don't think either team, and they both are needs, wide receiver. I don't think either team should draft a wide receiver when you have T. Higgins and possibly someone else out there. I mean, one of the New York teams should sign T. Higgins.
Okay.
The Australian Open is going on. No
Yeah.
one cares but you and I.
Yes.
But Djokovic
One.
won, and
Alcaraz
Alcaraz lost
lost.
to Zverev. And
Coco overcame some bad tennis to win last night.
listen, I love the Australian Open
Yeah.
because I get here early
Yeah.
and I get to watch the
Right.
final.
I agree with
And
you. Yeah. Good for you.
Djokovic is unbelievable.
Well, between the playoffs next week and the Super Bowl, I got 2 weeks to write out the schemes for Usher's halftime performance.
Yes,
Yes.
You're going to be choreographing
I've
it.
been doing the routines. I've been
Good. Before I let you go, I want to get back to section 9 for one quick second.
Okay.
If Mick
Question.
Jagger can do it, you can do it.
Question I want to ask you. Best player you ever coached in section 9?
Best talented player.
the most talented player you coach.
Well, the most talented.
I mean, don't count me.
The most, other than you, the most talented player would be John DeGroat.
John DeGroat, who went on to play at Pitt.
Right.
What's
And
John doing now? By
he's
the way?
coaching somewhere in, I forget the school. He's assistant coach somewhere.
Okay.
The smartest player I ever coached was Mike Sinkier, who played at Albany and is there in their Hall of Fame. But the one who encompassed all three of it would be Billy Vano.
Good answer. Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
talented,
interesting
smart, a lifer, just a winner, that kind of thing. But all three of those kids were winners.
Gotcha.
You know that you didn't have to worry about their heart.
Yeah.
You
Listen, I bring it up to you all the time.
Yeah.
You were coaching at Burke, and Monticello went down there, and Monticello had a very good team.
They were
Eric
loaded.
Manson,
They were loaded.
Tommy Watson, Troy Nolan, very good team.
Loaded.
And if you remember, it was 4-0 Monticello.
Right.
They scored their first 2 baskets on highlight film bumps.
Right, exactly.
And the Monticello crowd was all over
that
them.
was an orange. That was an orange, actually. Yeah.
All over them.
Right.
Overrated.
Yeah,
Burke.
yeah.
I think the score, Monticello was up 4-0.
Right.
You'll know better than me. I think the score at the end of the first quarter was 32-4.
It was close to that.
Yeah.
It was close to
I
that.
think Sinque was like 9 for 9.
He was running a layup drill on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What in that game? We're going back years, but in a game like that, did you have any thought in your mind we're losing this game?
No, not really.
No.
Not at all.
Was
Not
that your
at all.
last game at Burke? I mean, your last season at Burke?
No. I went 2 more.
Okay.
I went 2 more. But that team, don't forget, the tallest player I had was 6'2", and they were just pieces. But they all, when I looked at them in huddles during timeouts, they were looking right in my eyes.
Yeah.
They were looking right in my eyes. And it was like...
So you remember the game I'm talking about?
Oh, I do.
He had Eric Manson had like a windmill dunk.
Right.
Watson had a dunk, and the crowd was in a frenzy. We didn't score again.
No. And it was like, and then at halftime, I said, fellas, don't get comfortable here. You see how kind of talent they have. You can see what kind of talent they have. We just can't let up on them. Because they had just I didn't think they were getting to that game.
Mhm.
I didn't think they was getting to that game because of, they either had to play Nyack or Albertus to get there, and then they upset them. And one of those schools was like 1 or 2 in the state at the time. And they upset. I said, oh, man, we could be in trouble here because I knew they had the talent. But at halftime, we came out. We scored the first 6 points in the third quarter. And the first 2 minutes, we scored 6, and that was the end of it.
Did you see, and then we'll end on this,
Yeah.
did you see your thoughts on this transgender woman golfer?
No, I haven't read.
I'm being serious. She won a tournament. He
Yeah.
won the tournament,
Yeah.
outdrove every woman by 100 yards.
Yeah.
And John Daly said, if I knew this was going to happen, I would have thrown on a dress 20 years ago and retired. But yeah, she's playing, and
As a pro?
yeah, she won a tournament last week. Yeah. Yep. That's what's happening.
What was it? The LPGA?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Also had an amateur win
I'm
the
gonna-
men's tournament. Yeah.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah. Rich, thank you. Great job. We thank Jim Kelly, Jason
Yeah.
Lichtenstein, Mike Carey, and as always,
You got it.